Hello everyone, welcome back to another video, and in this video we'll be recapping an exciting week of college football. So let's just get right into it. The embarrassment that is Texas A&M. So I've never fully understood the A&M hype coming into this year. I understand they've recruited well. I've always said they still need a year or two to be good, but by no means did I see this utter humiliation coming from App State. Just some quick stats: App State 315 yards, A&M 186. App State 22 first downs, A&M 9, and I believe they had 6 halfway through their fourth quarter. App State ran 82 plays to A&M's 38 plays. They punted more, they had more penalties, A&M did, and the most shocking one was App State had 41 minutes of possession, and A&M had 18 and some change minutes of possession. A&M was bullied at home, and this is a team that has an exponential amount more of talent. I think I saw a stat somewhere on Twitter. It was like combined 4 and 5 stars. It was 54 for A&M, 1 for App State. I mean, but in a way, this almost isn't shocking. This is an A&M team that we were told would be able to compete for the SEC West, would be able to make the Final Four, and it was ranked, 6 coming into the season, and it's based off of what? They beat Alabama last year, amazing win. Let's just get that out of the way. But they were 8-4 last year, including a 10-7 win versus Colorado. Let me say that again. They beat Colorado 10-7 last year, then lost 4 games, and yet I'm supposed to believe this team is suddenly Final Four bound when they don't even have their QB situation? Figure it out, it's a joke. And to get started on Jimbo Fisher, to not even have your players ready for a game like this or have any sort of scheme or plan for a game like this, it's mind-boggling how lost he is. Especially when their best player was their running back. Let me get his name. Their running back was Devin Achane, sorry, I mispronounced his name, was clearly the best player on the field. He returned that kickoff for a touchdown. What a return that was. Yet he only gets 10 touches, and 10 touches rushing and 1 catch out of the backfield. I mean, A&M shouldn't even have to throw the ball to win a game like this. 186 yards per game is truly terrible. And I think this game sort of confirms that Jimbo is a coach that benefited off of having Jameis Winston, and not that he was ever a very good coach. Almost like I'm gonna mix up the Auburn coaches' names, but I think it was like Gene Chizik with Cam Newton. Gene Chizik was a terrible coach. He just had Cam Newton. Jimbo Fisher, horrendous coach. He just had Jameis. And this is a guy that they re-signed him to a new deal last year, and that's off of going 8-4 last year. And his buyout at some point last year was, I believe the number I saw, if they'd fired him last year at any point, was $95 million. They signed a contract that ties their hands to Jimbo Fisher for years and years and years and years. There's no flexibility to get rid of him in this program. It's like they're stuck with him. And it's hilarious because if you know anything about A&M fans, they deserve this. We've had to listen to how they're back and how they're going to win the SEC West and how they're now better than Alabama and they're the next best thing. It's delusional. It's delusional what's going on down there in College Station. They're an above average SEC West team, and that's it. And even then, this year they might be worse. They might be worse than above average. Last year they're 8-4. I still can't get over that. 8-4, and I'm supposed to believe this team's Final Four bound? Joke. A few other stats I have that I found interesting. Jimbo in his first 50 games is 35-15 at A&M, and Kevin Sumlin's 36-14. And yes, Jimbo can recruit like the best coaches in the country can, but if you can't do anything with that talent, you're pointless. And in fact, I'm almost glad he's at A&M, because if they had a competent coach with the amount of talent they have, they would be contending for a national championship, but they're not. And to get back on the fans and how delusional they are, I'm sure many of you guys saw those Yell videos, the Texas Yell videos. They do this thing. I did a deep dive on YouTube. They're called Texas A&M Yell leaders. Yell leaders is the term. And essentially what they do is the Friday night before a home game, they have a pep rally. But there's 5 guys that are the Yell leaders. And then there's also junior Yell leaders. These people are voted on by other students at the university to represent them. And so, yeah, 5 guys lead, 30, 40, 50, however many thousand people at midnight before the home football games and like cheers and stuff. But the cheers are just like really, really odd. And I'm all for traditions in college football. It's what makes it special. But it's just odd when like the cheers and like the pep rally is like centered around like making fun of the little guy, like the App State or the Sam Houston State. It's just like, it's almost like they're cosplaying a college football fan. It's just odd. Like, I can't wrap my mind around it. I'll show a clip in this video. But again, it's almost like they're like cosplaying a college football fan. It's just like, what's the point of making fun of an App State fan? It's just sort of like kind of out of touch. And why would anyone want to go on a Friday night and just listen to 5 dudes tell, like, they have like these like fictional A&M, these fictional like Aggie characters, and they like use these characters in a story, almost like Paul Bunyan and his Blue Ox, to like make fun of the other teams. They have all these like made up characters, and there's like it's a prolonged story where they like, the punchline is just like, LOL, App State can't read. And then the 5 guys just get into like a push-up contest, and then they like tackle each other. Then they lead A&M fans in like some chants, and this all happens midnight. And then you're supposed to bring a date to the game. Again, I deep dove into the Friday midnight thing. You're supposed to bring a date to the game. They cut off all the lights, and then you kiss your date, and then it ends. It's just weird from like beginning to end. And these 5 guys think they're like the most important figures on the team. It's really, really weird. And so I was digging more into A&M, and it's almost like the whole fan base is like a group of, like, growing up, you'd have like a friend or someone in your school that would go to summer camp every summer, and they'd come back and like that's who they were, like that's who their personality was. It's almost like A&M students was like every kid that went to summer camp and like made that their personality growing up went to A&M, and then they continued this tradition. In fact, there's like this orientation for 4 days. They go to like a small town in Texas to go to a camp for all incoming freshmen. It's called Fish Camp. And luckily I was able to watch the Fish Camp orientation for 2020. It was COVID year, so they had to film it and post it to YouTube. I'll show you guys a clip of that. But
Mason, stop, dude. No one cares about trains anymore, man. Really? No. Well, anyways, that's the pass back, and this is the yell. Hump-a-dags. 1, 2, 3. Rock. 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 T. A. M. C. Rock. 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 T. A. M. C. Rock. 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 T. A. M. C. Woo! Hey! Rock, 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 T, A, woo! Well, that's the yell locomotive. Thanks, and giggle.
And the yell leaders, the 5 yell leaders, like sort of indoctrinate the freshmen into this like fandom. But again, the fandom is just like these weird Paul Bunyan stories that are like corny played jokes about like, oh haha, you guys are dumb, we're not. But this is coming from the program that has Jimbo Fisher as their head coach with a $95 million buyout. They just lost to App State. It just makes no sense. It's weird. Like trust me, I know every fan base has like odd traditions and stuff. I'm all for that. But it's just odd when it's like centered around making fun of the other team, and then it's like 5 dudes just like doing push-ups on a field, and like 40,000 people are there watching. Like, what is going on? So yeah, Notre Dame, A&M, utter embarrassment. I'm about to get to Notre Dame. And again, I didn't expect it to come versus App State, but to put them at 6 when they lose to Colorado, joke. Beat Colorado 10-7 and lose 4 games is a joke. And let me get to Notre Dame. Notre Dame, in the offseason, I won't go too hard on Notre Dame, as it is their coach's first year. You can't really expect too much of a first-year coach, Marcus Freeman. But I will say, an internal hire, I know he'd only been at Notre Dame for 1 year, still reeks. I mean, this is a Notre Dame team that's in the BCS years, 3-21 versus top 5 teams, right? 3-21. The program reeks of failure. From head to toe, reeks of failure. They do nothing but fail every single year in the biggest moment. And they decide to have an internal hire. They deserve this. Shout out to Marshall. What a game. Again, I'm not going to say Marcus Freeman's some like terrible coach and they should get rid of him, but because it is his first year. But again, kind of a questionable hire, having it be an internal. But real quick, back to A&M. Not done yet. These fans should be calling for Jimbo to be fired. I mean, think about any other, like, A&M, this is why I'm sort of getting on A&M. They don't view themselves in, like, a realistic light. Other top programs don't lose these games to, like, App State. Like, you won't see Georgia, Alabama, Clemson, Ohio State losing these games. This would be like if Ohio State lost to, like, Ball State or like IUPUI. Like, it's seriously that level. Like, other top programs don't lose these games. They hold their coaches to a certain standard. And what I mean by that is, take Georgia for example. Georgia fired Mark Richt his last year, who is he's still probably more well liked than Kirby Smart. Georgia fired Mark Richt his last year off of winning a 10-game season and recruiting the number 1 QB in the class, Jacob Eason. They fired him. Meanwhile, Saban is getting a contract extension Jimbo is getting a contract extension off of an 8-4 season where they beat Colorado 10-7. This is what I mean by there's levels. These fans don't hold their coach to the same standard as a top program, but then they view their program as one of the best, if not the best in the country. There's such like a disparity between where they are and where they think they are. And you can point to the fact that, like I said, we fired Mark Richt after he won 10 games. Jimbo's getting praised and lauded for going 8-4. They deserve this. It's funny to laugh at them. Notre Dame lost. Other than that, I mean, Texas, Alabama, what a game. Alabama looks weak, but if anything, I've seen Saban before. He'll have his guys playing twice as hard, twice as fast for the rest of the year. So it's almost like someone poked the bear rather than, getting rid of the bear entirely. So, like, look out, college football. Texas might be back. Feel bad for Quinn Ewers. Let me know what you guys think. Make sure to like and subscribe. Go Dogs. Peace.
Buckner stands in and fires his ball's intercepted.